That's it here. If it's a world where the robots don't understand everything, I think we're in trouble.
But I mean, maybe we'll find this happening to us. So we've been talking about new developments of actual artificial sensing. There are people who can now see because they've got receptors in their eyes. We've got people who can now control limbs using the power of their minds, just like us. That's exactly what we do. What will be the consequences then? I mean, your profession is building this stuff. Are we going to end up as kind of Borg-like cyborgs with half of us being robotic and half of us being human? Is there anything to
I hope so. I'm great.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I think
great.
so.
Bring it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's okay. And if it's helping people that currently it's helping people that otherwise wouldn't have such a good
no,
value
absolutely.
of
That's
life
fine.
than they do now. So I think that's good. And I think there's also a question of technology for technology's sake as well. And I think there's going to be a lot of work done that we know we can't do it, and because we're human and we're curious and we're quite sort of egotistical in a way that yes, I want to do that to prove that I can do it. There's that area, and so I think there'll be a whole area of technology for technology's sake, and I think we need to be careful on that because of the ethics involved in it. And so I think it's a huge area that we can't just think of robots or artificial intelligence purely from a technology point of view, which is largely what I would do currently, because it's solving a problem. It's humans and robots working together because they're very complementary, and for us it's putting robots into places where you wouldn't want to put a human. So in a nuclear pond, for example, to try and decommission a nuclear pond, it's ideal, and so we are creating robots that will go in there, and they have to be semi-autonomous. They have to be able to make decisions. They're inside the pyramids, and they're having to make decisions because a human has never been inside that pyramid, and so you don't want them to be tethered. So a human is controlling it. They've got to be semi-autonomous to say, okay, depending on what I come up against in this pyramid, I'm going to make a decision based on that. So currently, for me, it's all quite self-contained because the technology, the robots and the humans are working together because we're complementing each other.
But what's going to happen to us if we've got these things in our heads or in our bodies enabling us to survive in different environments or behave in different ways, not just to overcome
But we are worried
illness.
about whether we will lose whatever you define as humanity.
Or we'll become something else.
But the definition of humanity is not necessarily fixed, or doesn't need to be fixed. That itself could become a fluid definition. Again, this is a very rigid way of thinking where we are what we are, and if we change we won't be ourselves anymore.
What could go wrong? That's my answer.
I think one of the things that can go wrong is the fact that we've adapted to reject anything that's foreign. And if we start putting these things, I mean, germs and that kind of thing. I don't mean anything about immigration. So please, don't take it the wrong way. But so anything foreign object comes into our body, and our body has to mount an immune response to it. And we still don't have a clue about a lot of what's happening with our immune system. But it's problematic as it is. Doing transplants, we've got problems with breathing in things. They cause allergies, possibly, we're still debating that. They cause mesotheliomas, almost certainly things like asbestos do. So we really have to think about what it's doing to our body and how our body's going to deal with it, and actually do a little bit of basic science, I think.
I guess we'll learn in very small increments, and things like a lot of the sort of progress in prosthetic limbs in recent years, as far as I'm aware, has been driven by military injuries. Because now soldiers have got full body armour, they tend to survive injuries that they didn't used to, but they lose limbs. But we're learning, we're learning about interfacing machines into the human nervous system in a way that maybe didn't seem all that likely sort of 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, for me it's not a case of replacing humans with machines. It's more an evolution of humans by humans.
So will we all want to be upgraded? be able to see in UV, or to be able to, have a really strong arm.
Well, let me take that to the extreme, because this comes back to the question that I was asking a couple of times previously, is why would we want to develop a robot which is conscious? Why would we want to develop artificial intelligence? There is one very good reason why we would want to develop artificial intelligence, is to see if we can transfer our mind into the robot. Because if you take what you're talking about, this cyborg concept to the extreme, it's basically a robot with my consciousness so that I can live on forever. That is one very, very strong motivation, perhaps stronger than any other motivation on why we want to create artificial intelligence. And as human beings, that promise of immortality is a bigger driving force than anything else. So that's something which is pushing this along more than anything.
I mean, I was going to...
if we become immortal, though, do we bother breeding anymore?
We just assemble, we won't breed.
Where does everybody go on the planet?
The robots won't get it.
I was just going to mention it's similar to genetic engineering and modifying humanity, that same sort of question. Why would we do this? Well, we do this because we want our children to be better than we are, and we want the advantages, so we'll make them taller, we'll do all these sort of things. And I think, it's the same thing with these types of modifications as well.
Three of us around this table cheerfully accept augmented vision, don't we?
Exactly.
I'm old, so
So for those same reasons, we would do the same augmentation. And whether I would do it personally, I know 90% of people would do it because they want their children to be better than
I think that's always one of the
generation.
huge debates with genetics and editing, and I'm sure Matthew will have a lot to say on this. And that was one of the big debates with the mitochondrial DNA debate. That went up, and there was a policy that was made because of that. And that was all about getting rid of particular mitochondrial diseases that are fatal. I mean, what you're talking about is something different. That's sort of going into a whole other territory. And I think Matthew,
it all falls under this broad umbrella of transhumanism, though, doesn't it? Whether it's genetic upgrading or intelligence amplification or uploading, it's I don't know. I find it all just a tiny bit evangelical and a bit creepy. That's certainly at the fringes. I mean, as a science fiction writer, it's really interesting to play with these ideas, but I find them very. I mean, I personally have no interest in being uploaded into a computer, and I don't think it's even if I had that interest, I don't think it's within our technological capabilities for hundreds of years.
Well, you never know. I wouldn't look that far ahead, because if you look at the progress we've made in computing power just in the last 20 years, and the exponential growth, that's what Moore's law is all about. It's an exponential growth. So we are getting there very, very rapidly.
We're getting faster. We can process things faster, but are we doing it? I mean, the computer on my desk is...
This is what I was saying before. There's the normal computer chips that is in your phones and tablets and computers and everything, which are very fast, but they can do sort of serial processing. The brain is a parallel processor. It's got millions of cores, and that's starting. That's where the serial processor was 30 years ago. So if it follows the same trend, I think we'll get there very, very fast. Maybe not within my lifetime to the stage where my consciousness can be uploaded into another brain, but we're getting there very, very fast. So it is a genuine debate and a concern to be having.
I'm not quite sure we're getting that. Sorry, Matthew.
Well, I was just going to say, would it be you? Why do you think that suggests that there's an essence of you in terms of a pattern of electrical activity, but clearly it's related to your brain, and if you stick it into a computer, then that's exactly your point.
Well,
and
that's
what
the
philosopher's argument is, well, what would it be? Unless it's an exact copy of your neuronal connectivity of your brain, it's going to be something else. You'll then be thinking in a different way. You'll have different sensations.
This is what Al was, I mean, essentially, this transhumanism is essentially an afterlife for atheists. Essentially, is what it is.
Yes,
it allows
basically.
your essence to be.
But what is you? I mean, is there something intrinsic called a consciousness which gives you a self-identity, or is it merely a collection of your memories? If it is merely a collection of your memories that identifies you for who you are, that is something you possibly could upload without having to replicate every single neural connection.
There's one
So what
approach.
is consciousness? What is the identity of self?
Why would you want to?
Why wouldn't you want to?
So you can survive when the killer aliens come.
Why wouldn't you want to?
Just turn you off.
Small echo of yourself.
Why wouldn't you want to?
I think life's not just about this sort of. Life's about experiencing and touching and feeling.
Well,
and
maybe you could experience things in new ways. You
Exactly.
could plug yourself into Jodrell Bank and hear the sound of the stars directly. I don't know.
Wouldn't that be
But I
amazing?
wouldn't read a good book or cuddle my kids.
Well, you would be able to assemble your own kids from Lego and cuddle them
She's
all
been
you
doing
want.
that. Been treading on Lego.
I've been making Lego frames.
Right. Quick round the table. Will machines rule the world?
Yes, at some point. I don't know if it'll happen within the next 100 years, but at some point I think we'll build them so that they are smarter than us, build themselves, and hopefully take care of us.
Yes, but we will be the machines by then, so we won't care.
No, because I think we'll all be dead before I think we'll wipe ourselves out.
No, machines will not make us obsolete because they'll keep upgrading us.
Well, there's two possible scenarios. Either the malevolent machines will wipe us out, or we will become the benevolent machines.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's a possibility, and I think we need to look at the ethics right now.
Good. If you've enjoyed this discussion and you want to see more, why not subscribe now?